I don't know if you could put this in here, but Storm is it's a lot of forces in the underworld that are protecting you. It's like you're in a sense untouchable. Let me just put it to you like this. When things happen to you, I don't see it hitting you in a sense. I see you maybe being affected because of your emotion, but I see the attack or the energy repelling off of you, going back to hit that person who sent the attack.
Gotcha.
Bad things happen to people who do things to you.
Okay, Storm Chasers. So we have another interview with someone in the spirituality realm, should I say, right? We have Mr. Kirk with us today. He is a shaman. I'm going to have him explain to us what a shaman is, exactly what they do. Kirk, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Storm.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm doing this on my computer, so it's a little weird to look at the webcam versus like the camera behind it, so forgive me. But okay, so let's start off by asking this. What exactly is a shaman?
So, in essence, what a shaman is someone who heals the sick. We alleviate people from physical pain, spiritual pain, traumatic experiences. We also communicate and we can travel to other dimensions and different worlds that most people cannot go. And in most circumstances, we are able to cross somebody over to another dimension who's died and they're stuck here on the planet. And those are called earthbound spirits.
Wow. Okay. Gotcha. So it's kind of like well, first off, let me break down the word. So shaman, doesn't that basically mean to know? Like, isn't that how that word breaks down?
Yes, to know the spirit world and things that occur in the spirit world, whether it's good or bad. Typically, what we do is we can go into the dark and bring things into the light, hence providing love to the world and tipping the scales of the universe, just providing goodness overall to the world.
Okay, gotcha. Now, when you look up shamans and when you do research on them, it's like you guys pop up and then Wiccans pop up and then witches pop up and then Satanists pop up. So are shamans technically, are you guys technically magical people, or is it just like a whole different thing?
We are magical people. There's a plethora of magical people in the spiritual community. No, we're not the devil. We don't worship the devil. Again, we can travel to different dimensions, so we're able to see things that other people can't, and it actually debunks a lot of what people have learned as far as like religion and certain cultures. And not only that, when you look at what a shaman is, people typically look at Indians or Native Americans. They can be from all cultures. Shamans are naturally born. Shamans and healers, they're just totally different. So of course, I come from an African culture, but I'm still a natural born shaman. My family, my whole entire family, we're all shamans, mediums, seers. All of that resides within, definitely within my.
So you literally were born into this.
I was definitely born into this. Definitely, I was taught at an early age how to work with stones and crystals. And the most important thing that everybody's hopping on nowadays is the aspect of the chakras, which are the 7 energy fields of the body.
Right. Yeah, because you know what, Kirk, let me tell you, a lot of times I might not be knowing what I be doing, but I just be meditating. I be lining the crystals up and I be hoping that I'm somewhere near where I need to be. So explain to us a little bit about what chakras are, because people might not know.
Okay. I'm glad that you asked me that. Okay. So the body consists of 7 basic energy systems in the bodies, which are the 7 basic chakras. We have a whole plethora of chakras outside of those 7 basic ones, but those are the 7 ones that typically mold you together. So I'm going to explain to everyone and to all of the energy workers and Reiki masters what the chakras are, because there's certain things that are left out, and I think this is important for people to know. So first and foremost, let me say that when you look at a picture of the chakras on Google, what happens is that you see a silhouette of a person. They're usually sitting in Indian style. And what you'll see is you'll see little balls of light going up. So you'll say, okay, the chakra's here, the chakra's there. But it's very important that people know where the chakras start, where they end, and where the next chakra starts. So before I get into that, I'm going to talk about what's called the Earth's disc. No one talks about that. It's not a chakra, it's actually a disc. And I'm going to talk about the colors of the chakras too, because people are getting false conceptions of what the colors are. So the Earth's disc is brown. It's just a disc. It starts 2 inches below your feet, and it comes up to the top of your thigh. Now, the top of your thigh is 2 to 3 inches above your kneecap. So when you meditate, you can sit and visualize this brown color. So what this is that it roots and it centers and it grounds you. So when you hear people say, I'm going to put my feet in the grass, I'm going to ground and center, it's the same thing. You're just doing it from a shamanic or a psychic standpoint. So it alleviates depression, anxiety, anxiousness, all that, in order for you to go out for the rest of your day or to get to your next client. So what I do is that I close my eyes and I imagine the roots from the earth coming up, wrapping around my feet. And when that happens, you'll feel a tingling sensation on those parts of the leg that I was telling you about. So once you've done that, you're clear to go to the chakras now. So 3 inches above your kneecap is where it ends and where the root chakra starts. Okay, that color is red. That chakra is the foundation of everything. It is your balance. It is how you see yourself in society. This talks about your identity, everything. Now, these chakras can be overactive and they can be underactive too. So if it's someone who's overactive, you're going to find someone who's very egotistical, who's highly confident to the point where they appear cocky in a sense. So when it's, underactive, then you'll see a person who has low self-esteem. They're indecisive. They're always looking for the opinions of others. They can't make their own decisions, hence not being a leader. So where that starts is the top of the thigh that I was telling you about, and it stops where your sexual organs start. That color is red. That is your root chakra. So from your sexual organs to the top of your navel, that's where your sacral is. Your sacral is the color orange. And that deals with sexuality and things of that nature. So if someone is a person who has an overactive sacral chakra, they are usually nymphos. They have high sex drives, have sex addictions, and
they hold.
Yeah, and they can't typically hold a conversation with people. So what happens is that they can talk to somebody, but they're looking at physical attributes of that person, and they're basically looking at people as like a sex object. Now, when it's underactive, you might find people who are disgusted after having sex, or they're triggered by certain things that they've gone through in their life as children. They may have gone through the R word or the M word. So when that happens, it triggers them into adulthood. And that's when you know someone has an underactive sacral chakra. So from the top of your navel to your breastbone, where that is your solar plex chakra that lies in your abdominal region, and that color is yellow. So that deals with your motivation. So if you see someone who gets little to no sleep, you see someone who's a workaholic, and in a lot of cases, when it gets too deep, when it's extremely overactive, you'll find that a person is in a position where they'll do anything for $1. They'll step on people's toes to get to the top, and they don't care how they do it. Now, on the flip side, if you have an underactive solar plex chakra, that we all have a friend like this, okay? Still live with their parents, unmotivated. They don't want to work. They want to live in their parents' basement, smoke, play video games, and that's just what makes them happy. Nothing more, nothing less. That's how you have
people like that. I'm gonna leave
Yeah, we all do. And those are the ones who we actually thought were going to make it too. That's the funny part. You know what I mean? And it's just, you got to forgive me. I'm a Taurus. I'm a little petty. So
I am too.
yeah. So basically, so where was I? Oh, so I was at the solar plex chakra, and it ends where your breastbone is. Now, from your breastbone up to the collarbone right here, that is your heart chakra. Now, people think the heart, so they think pink or they think red because that's the color of love, but that color is actually green. So the heart chakra deals with unconditional love, your heart being light as a feather, practicing forgiveness and things of that nature. So we all know what the opposite end of that, which is, hatred and things like that. So when I align people's chakras and I see that heart chakra constricted, it looks like a ball, but it looks really tight. And when you add love, light, prosperity, abundance, whatever you want to add to that, that heart chakra will tend to expand. So you'll see it pulsate and it'll open like this. And then it'll start getting brighter. The color will get brighter. So that is the heart chakra. And for people who want to open their heart chakra, rose quartz crystals are good for it. If you sit and you meditate with that, that can help open up your chakra.
Increase my feeling of peace. Because if someone pisses me off, and I so happen to have like a regular rock in my hand, I would want to bang that rock upside their forehead.
The clear quartz chakra actually magnifies any other stone or crystal. So what I do is that I'll sit in an Indian style position or a comfortable position, and I'll put a couple of clear quartz around me, like in a circle, and I'll just hold the rose quartz crystal and I'll meditate, and it helps, open up my heart chakra.
Gotcha. Okay, so I'm like, I wonder if that part for me is a little like underactive, because I be mean as hell out here. So
it's not as underactive as you think. It's natural. I just typically scan chakras without even knowing it. It's not as constricted as you think.
Okay. Okay, all right, because I'll be like, man, I'll be out here, boy. I'm talking about in real life. I'll be like, maybe I shouldn't have did that or said that. But okay.
It's because people can take you there sometime. You know what I mean? It takes a lot of breathing techniques and meditation and things like that to keep you grounded when it comes to stuff like that. So right here where your collarbone is, like we already talked about the heart chakra. So where that collarbone is,
okay,
the tip of your nose, that's actually the throat chakra, and that color is blue. So basically overactive, that's a person who talks a lot. You can't get a word in. One of those. It's like you're talking to a brick wall.
Oh, I know. I know a person like that too. Okay.
Don't we all? And then, if it's underactive, those are typically the people who didn't have a voice growing up. They had that authoritative parent who would tell you, hey, it's either my way or the highway, and you didn't have a say-so in anything growing up. So when people grow up, things are said and done to people, and typically they're not able to verbally defend themselves because of what happened to them in childhood. So that's in essence what the throat chakra is. Now here's everybody's favorite chakra. From the tip of your nose to where your hairline starts, that color is purple, and that is the famous third eye that everybody's talking about.
Oh, but it goes from here to here.
Yes, that's where it is. Like if you saw Dragon Ball Z when you were growing up, any of those, I mean, the third eye was right there. That color's purple. And that's actually where you manifest things, the things that you want. All you have to do is just sit for 20 minutes a day, literally, and visualize the things that you want. And in about 3 weeks, you'll start to see motion in that. That is how we manifest. Now, when we were kids, our teachers called it daydreaming.
They did. And it's funny how, like, when babies are born and as you see little kids coming up, they are very in tune with the spirit. Like I notice babies and old people very in tune with the spirit world, but like us in the middle, I guess because of society bogging us down with work and school and this or that, we just kind of get away from stuff like that.
Oh, there's a few reasons why we get away from that. So the last chakra that I want to say, because I do want to touch on that. The last chakra that you have is the crown chakra, and that starts where your hairline is, and it goes 5 inches up. And that color is violet. There we go. Sometimes they kind of look alike in a sense. And of course, that's where your thought processes and everything are when you meditate. So, if it's overactive, you'll have trouble meditating. You'll have trouble focusing on one thing at a time. You'll have 50 million thoughts in your head at one time.
Gotcha. Okay. And you know what I noticed? I'm not even trying to be funny, but I wonder if a lot of women have that issue because women typically have a bunch of things on their minds at one time.
Absolutely, absolutely. It can be men, women. I can see what you mean about women. I mean, it's so stressful in the world nowadays. We live in such a fight or flight society that a lot of us are just running around with these thoughts in our head, and some of us have trouble falling asleep at night because that's when your deepest, darkest thoughts happen. When no one's around, when it's quiet at night, and when you're in that bed by yourself. That's when all the thoughts just start to come all over the place. Now, in reference to the spirit world and who can see, yes, babies can naturally see, elderly people can see, and animals can see. Because what typically happens is that when you hit puberty, your third eye calcifies and you have to fight that open. So when your parents tell you, hey, you have an imaginary friend, that's not real, that's not true, it'll close, it'll constrict. And you have to fight to open that back up when you get older. And that actually can be very painful.
Wow, I never even thought about that.
Yeah.
I didn't thought about how puberty affects our intuition, our third eye.
Yeah, at the age of 12, 13, it'll close, it'll calcify.
And you know what? Around that time is so much going on in a teenager's life typically. So you're usually you'll have like your natural abilities and you're coming into who you are, and then you start to mold yourself into what's acceptable. So you really lose yourself in a process. So that makes a lot of sense.
And it also happens like that with teenagers because there's pressure coming from random places. How they say peer pressure. You have pressure from your friends, you have pressure from your parents, and you have pressure from your teachers, which is why teenagers are so hormonal. They have a lot of mood swings because they're getting pulled in so many different directions. So teens are considered, rebellious, disrespectful, and all that. When really they want to breathe too, just like the rest of us.
Yeah, they just have a lot going on. And I love how like when we get grown, we forget what it was like when we were their age, and we expect them to know what we know. It's weird. But the whole parenting thing, that's a whole nother, we can talk about that forever. So, okay, so I got questions for you now.
Sure, ask away.
Okay, so you said you can scan people and see their chakras. So can you see mine? I just want to know.
Yes, I can. I can see every single last 7 of them, what they are, what's overactive, what's underactive. I can see it all.
Okay. Okay. Give me my diagnoses. I don't care. I'll cut out what I need to cut out. But give me my.
Okay, I won't go into too much detail because that'll be, private conversation if need be. But your crown, which is what we talked about earlier, you do have a lot of thoughts going on in your head at one time. They can be removed. That happens to everybody. We're always connected to people, places, or things. Some are good things, some are bad things. The good ones stay, the bad ones go. Storm, you're very intuitive. Okay, I'm looking at your third eye, and yeah, I'm not going to say what I want to say on air, but you are definitely
No, say it. I want to know. I can always cut it out. I promise.
Okay, cool. I think that from what I'm seeing, it's like you're more than what you lead on.
Oh, okay.
I can see. I mean, not to mention that you're highly protected. My God. I mean, it's just if you can see what I see, what's around you, it's crazy. So, your throat chakra, we all know there's no problems there. You're fine. You're fine there. Heart chakra, a little constricted. Not as bad as most Tauruses I know. A lot of us, we hold on to things a little long, but it's not as bad as most. Easy fix. So we had the heart. Your solar plex, it's not overactive. I mean, you get things done, but what I get from it is that some days you don't feel like doing anything. You're like, I just want to chill today. This video could wait tomorrow, things like that. So that's what I'm seeing in your your solar plex. Your sacral, it's a lot of build up, if you would.
Okay.
You can read in between the lines on that. Nothing really wrong with it. It's just, see, this is the common misconception about releasing, so to speak. People say, don't do that. Do the no fat diet, which is basically no masturbation for a year and things like that. You hear all sorts of stuff. But the craziest part is that if you don't release, low vibrational entities will attach to you and start munching on your energy. So you have to release. Don't hold that in for a whole year.
It's been 5 years. So that's the buildup you see.
6 for me, but yeah.
Okay.
I understand. Trust me. And the root, your root is really balanced, but it's like we see you a certain way, here on YouTube, right? But only you know what's going on in your root. There's just a smidge, just a little smidge, and it's not every day, it's per day. It's that confidence level. You seem like highly confident to me, like, you know, the world is your oyster, Storm can do anything he wants. But some days you might wake up like, you know, I don't feel as hot today as I did yesterday, and things of that. It doesn't happen a lot, but it's there. But overall, your chakras are not really out of whack. It's just a few that need to be tagged, along with a few core pullings. Because like I said, well, core pulling is when you alleviate trauma, stress, and physical pain from people.
Gotcha. Core pullings right now.
So yeah, that lower back of yours, that tension can actually be removed.
You can see that, yo. That's great. Wow. Wow, that is kind of scary, but intriguing. You can see, I didn't even tell you that. Guys, everybody that's watching this and listening, I promise, we did not discuss my chakras before we got on here at all. Oh wow. Okay. Anything else I should know?
Just a little tenseness in your shoulder. You might want to go see a masseuse or something. Other than that, there's nothing major that I see going on, really. Nothing is detrimental.
Good. At least I'm healthy for the most part. So, okay, we'll talk more when I cut the recording there. So, okay, so moving along from that, because that was, thank you for that. That was
no problem.
Moving along from that, I am interested in knowing who would need to go to a shaman. Like, should we go to you for preventative measures, or only when something is wrong?
Preventative measures and if something's wrong. So the services I provide, I mean, I provide a whole plethora of services. So now this is where it gets tricky. This is where some religious organizations may have a problem with this, okay? So okay. I am a healer. So I can go in and, like I said, I can remove physical pain. I can remove trauma. I can remove things that don't serve your bloodline. I've seen domestic abuse. I've seen drug and alcohol addiction. I've seen the P word. I've seen all of that in the bloodline. And yes, I can remove that, hence breaking generational curses. So that's one thing I do. I do chakra alignments. I do core pulling. I also do what's called a deep clean healing. So what that is that I travel back to the day you were born, and I remove traumas from your inner child, your teenage self, and your adult self. So I do a chakra alignment and a core pull on every aspect of yourself. And I'll also place protections over people too. I'm a master in spiritual protection too. So people who need that, they always call me. And that's in a nutshell what I do. Oh, and also people who have little curses, hexes, or jinxes on them, I can remove that right off of you with no problem.
And that's what Dr. Linda was actually telling me too. I think you said you saw that video. It's a few times she's told me, like, you know, she's spoken with somebody and she sees it. Like one time she described it as a snake around their neck, and she's like, "You need a shaman." Like I can't deal with that. And so to hear you say, like, yeah, I can remove that right away. She was basically, it's lining up. When I speak to different people, things are making sense. So that's
absolutely good. And I see these things that, you know, I've had that happen to me before. So a celebrity client I had that typically have a lot attached to them. I healed this individual, and I felt that same sensation. I felt like, you know, I was being choked. And it was hard for me to breathe for 4 days. And this was when I was kind of like a baby in it. So now, I mean, it's ways that I can just pull it off, you know. And like she said, you do not see them coming. And sometimes you do. Wow. You know, it depends on the energy of the person. I don't care if they have dark energy, serpent energy, whatever. And serpent energy isn't always bad either. Everything is in the heart of the person. That's just like money. When they say, okay, money's the root to all evil. Well, not necessarily. Are you giving back to the community? Are you giving to the less fortunate? Or are you terrorizing and torturing people because you have money? You know, it's one of those things.
Absolutely. And I hate when people quote things sometimes because they don't quote things right. So it's the love of money, not just money. Like it's
absolutely. And, you know, I take what I do very serious, you know, and I want to remove suffering from people, pain from people, things that are plaguing people. I mean, like I said, I've always been a healer, But something happened to me in 2018 that just made it shoot up. I just became more powerful, and I was able to do more than what I used to do. I went to visit a friend for his birthday. I'll never forget it. It was October of 2018. It was raining really bad that night, and I got T-boned. So in essence, I had what was called a walk-in. So a walk-in is a near-death experience. So a lot of people question, what is a walk-in? So a walk-in is when it's either you die or you're near death. And what happens is that your spirit will actually leave your body and will converse with another spirit, because your vessel still has more work to do. So the other spirit will hop into your body, and it takes 3 days to adjust to the body. And then you're that new person. So we've all known someone who's had a near-death experience or something like that, and they were one way. Let's just say, for example, he or she could have been a life of the party, like to tell jokes and things like that. They never are the same after that. Maybe they don't like to joke after that. Maybe they are not the life of the party. Maybe they want to sit and read books. Or the people who have had a walk-in via being struck by lightning and they survive, they come back, they can play the piano really good, and 9 times out of 10, they have a British accent for some reason. This stuff is real.
In this, and I know it's real because once again, Linda told me the same thing happened. She's like, I left and somebody came in, and then your powers, like, they got amplified. And so it really makes you think about religion and how much we're not told about the spiritual world, because these types of things I would have never known about if I hadn't spoken to people like you, the lady that does the hypnosis and past life regression and things like that. Like, it gets really deep. And so I do want to ask you this.
Yes.
Can you tell us or even describe to us some of the darkest things you've seen?
Wow. Okay, sure. I can't believe I'm telling you this. Well, first I want to say something scary that happened to me. It wasn't dark, but it was definitely scary. This was the same year that I had my walk-in. I actually worked with another spiritualist, and we worked at this car dealership. And we noticed one day, I'm like, why is it a dark cloud over this place? Literally over that one facility. I said, I swear this is some weird portal. And we kept talking about it. And we would look down the street, and it was just blue skies throughout the whole sky. But where we were, it was dark. And I told my mother about it, and she's like, well, I don't know. My mom's Christian, so she's like, well, I don't know. And a lot of one night, all I did was go to bed. I woke up and I was standing in front of that car dealership. So basically, I astral travel, which we do at will every night. People don't know that. We leave our bodies every night. It went left one night. I'm standing in front of the car dealership. I noticed that I'm out of my body after a while. So I'm like, okay. But I blink, and then I'm in a living room. My mother's right here in front of me, and we're talking. So I'm hearing voices behind me. And I look behind me, and there's a bunch of kids. There's toys all over the place, and there's a woman.
What's up, everybody? Y'all ever check out the Night and Day Network's YouTube channel with Isaiah Curry and his Curry Gang? What's up, my Curry Gang? If not, go check out their content and subscribe. They got everything from animated parodies like these.
Monroe, I want to talk to you, nigga. It's about that Tasha Kibble.
Go home, Jacqueline. You got me all the way up showing up here to my house. To web series like their Hood Times.
Ray, I need you to answer me right now. Why is Jesus black and look drunk?
Or their animated Power series.
You said you was gonna take the rap from me, Ghost, but you lied about that too. Just like you lie about everything.
To the latest gossip and news with me, Isaiah Curry, and the Curry Gang. And their film Kanye Get Out, the animated movie, at KanyeGetOutMovie.com. So go ahead over to Night and Day Network YouTube channel and subscribe. The link is in the description box below. Shit.
They were my family, but they were Mexican. It was so weird. So I told my mother, I said, I'm about to go to the gym. And she says, well, I wouldn't go to the gym if I were you. And I'm like, well, why wouldn't I go to the gym? And she said, well, I wouldn't go with that arm looking like that. And I looked, and I could feel like scar tissue on my shoulders.
Okay.
I looked down, I had a prosthetic arm. A little prosthetic arm. And when I shook it, it was like rubber. It was weird. And then I blinked again and I was back at the car dealership again. So these were like different dimensions I'm traveling to. But what happened is that it started speeding up. Like in every millisecond, I was here, then I was back here, then I was here, then I was back here. And then all of a sudden I got caught in between the two dimensions and they started closing in on me like this. So I felt like I was hyperventilating, like I was suffocating. And when that happened, I just closed my eyes. I said, well, I guess this is it. But then I literally woke up. Now, I don't want to scare anybody with this whole astral projection type thing, because we all have a cord that's connected to our tailbone that is connected to our bodies. And the only time that gets severed is when we pass away. So don't think you're going to get caught somewhere where you're not going to come back, because that is so not true. To the scariest thing that I've seen.
Yeah.
Nosy one year, I think this was in 2019. I actually saw the hoods in the astral world.
The hoods.
Like the hood, like Kingston, Jamaica hood.
Wow.
And it made it look like a palace, I promise. Because there they had, in the astral world, I saw the huts. But I saw these creatures. They were hopping up and down, like throughout the street. I saw entities on the side of the buildings just hanging on. And when I looked up at the sky, it was like a orangish, kind of brownish color. And it was swirling like a little funnel. And I guess the bad people who did bad things, I literally saw cats and dogs dragging these people to these cages. And their heads were turned all the way around in their butts. It was crazy. I had to get out of there. That was by far the darkest thing that I'd ever seen in the spirit world.
Where's my sage? Where's my sage? Oh, wow. And I'm visualizing it as you're saying it. I'm like, this is some scary shit. Okay.
It was scary. It will scare you. I thought I'd come out with a gray hair. Luckily, I didn't, but I got out of there quick.
Yeah. Did you go there voluntarily or involuntarily?
Both. I mean, involuntarily, because I was just scoping around, just the meditation. I'm like, okay, let me see what's out here in these different dimensions. And when I got there, it was kind of intriguing to me. So I just kind of like peeped and I looked, but it was a lot going on.
Gotcha. I meditate too, so that makes sense to me. Because I talked about when I meditated one time, and I feel like I went to sleep, but I'm like, I don't feel like I was asleep. But I went underground, and I was like, why am I underground? And then I was at the beach, and then I came back. But I'm like, okay, I was asleep, like I was dreaming, and I don't even think I've told the story. When I was in college, I was in this little like small town, and I stayed in apartments that used to be a mental health hospital in the 30s. It was haunted. I didn't take it to be serious, but it was haunted. And I've told my friends the story of me being in the bed in the room. The room got really hot, really red, and something got on top of me. Mm-hmm. Now I'm not Bobby Brown. Bobby Brown said he actually had sex with the spirit. I didn't say all that went down, but something hopped on top of me. Had to have been some dark, and it was heavy.
Could you move?
Could I move? No.
That's sleep paralysis, and what that is a succubus. Is what that is. Or as the old people say, the witch or the hag riding your back is what it is. When you try to scream and you try to move, nothing's coming out. That's what that is.
Gotcha. Okay. A succubus. Now, what exactly is a succubus?
They suck energy. Basically, you have a succubus and you have an incubus. A succubus is the female dark energy of sucking energy, and the incubus is the male energy. So you have typically the incubuses when you're awake. You'll feel flu-like symptoms. They can attach from other people to the next, depending on what they have going on. That's why a lot of people in the spiritual community don't want to, quote unquote, swap soul ties. We don't go and sleep with everybody. We're looking for the soulmate, because everybody you sleep with, you slept with with who they slept with and with who they slept with. So basically, if you sleep with somebody who's suicidal and you trade the DNA and you wonder why you want to off yourself every day, people don't think about that stuff, because a lot of people think off of impulse and lack of knowledge,
That is true. That is true. We really don't realize how deep and how spiritual sex really is. So if you could explain sex in a spiritual sense, how would you explain it?
So what I find as far as having sex is that everything is supposed to be a vibrational match. The vibrational match in the right frequency. So when you get with somebody, you can tell when it's off, because women go through certain things and men go through certain things if you're not a vibrational match to the other person. So if you're a spiritual person, especially for spiritual people, for men, if we have sex with somebody who's not a vibrational match to us, we have problems, quote unquote, getting it up. Okay. So for women who are having sex with someone who's not a vibrational match to them, they will have bacterial or yeast infections. They're wondering why, okay, why is this going on here? Because that wasn't the match for you. That didn't mean you have a disease, you know, or in the spiritual community, we actually do call them spiritual STDs, but it's not like a real STD, but that's in a nutshell what that is. I'm not going to go as far as the religious people say, okay, it should be, you know, oh, it's sacred. It is sacred, but it's not as complex as others may think. You know, you just find that right match to you.
So let me ask you this then. So you being the healer that you are, who do you go to healing? Or is there a never-ending cycle of shamans that go to shamans that help them shaman better? Like, who do you go to?
Well, and there's always a thing about who heals the healer. And I'm going to shout them out later. I have some students, I've trained them. They are wonderful. They have their own gifts, but they're healers, they're master healers. And I go to some of them sometimes. You know, it's all about being protective of your energy. And people need to realize a title is just what it is. Just because someone says they're a shaman does not mean that they mean you well. You know what I mean? They could go in to heal you and mess up your chakras. That's just the same as going to a church saying, oh, I'm going to allow this pastor to put his hands on my head, and you're leaving out worse than what you did before because that pastor was tainted.
Very true. And you know what? And I've always been very conscious of who I let touch me. Even as a child, I was like that. Now, I didn't understand back then why I was like that, but now I know, like, it's power in the touch, and I don't want to pick up what you got. I really don't.
Absolutely, because you don't know what. I wish I would have took your advice when I was a kid. I was the friendliest kid ever.
Yeah, I would dodge them quick. Like, please don't touch me. Oh my God. Okay, so I'm trying to think. Was there anything else I wanted to ask you? You're one of my best interviewees. Like, you did a really good job of answering what I asked, which I love.
I was so scared. I'm like, man.
So I know one question I did have. Do you believe in a heaven or hell?
I think heaven and hell, well, from what I've seen, heaven and hell is a mind state. You can choose to live in heaven or choose hell. These are based on your life, your circumstances, your decisions. We have all met somebody who did the worst of the worst of the worst. They did it on their own and sat there and said, oh, the devil is busy. Well, what are you blaming him for? He didn't tell you to do what you did. You know what I mean? So again, I travel outside of my body. You know what I'm saying? I've been through different dimensions. I've seen different worlds. What if I told you that there's no worse place than Earth? What if I told you the Earth is hell?
I would absolutely believe that. And I've always had that theory.
Mm-hmm. And what if I told you that the underworld is not under us, it's actually above us?
That would actually make a lot of sense.
We're in the 3D dimension, okay? They're not calling this the 3D for anything. We're actually in the third dimension. We can't go to the second and the first. And I know people are going to look at this interview like, what is this guy talking about? But I'm telling you what I know. Can I prove it? No, unless I took you with me into the spirit world. The first and second dimension are where your trolls and your fairies and all those little creatures live, and that is not for human consumption. We cannot go there, but they can kind of go up. And a key way of knowing if you see a fairy is if you take a picture with your phone or you record with your phone and you see those little green balls of light, those little dots, those are fairies.
Now when I took pictures, I saw the little white balls. So what are those?
Those are fairies. They're fairies. Some of them are archangels. I mean, they come in random different colors. It could be white, it could be blue, green, and I've also seen red.
Wow. Okay. So all right. So you got the first and second dimension, which is where the critters are. Would you call them jinn, like jinn spirits?
Jinns are there too. And on a contrary, popular belief, jinns are not friendly.
I know. I know of a certain, we're not going to say who, but allegedly a certain famous family releases jinns on people. So I'm a yeah.
I know a jinn personally in Atlanta.
Really?
And he looks just like the genie off of Aladdin. He's just black, that's all.
Oh God! And you said stay away from him, right?
No, he's cool. He's cool.
Oh,
But typically, jinns in the spirit form, they're typically not nice. Now they're going to gravitate who they gravitate toward, but they're typically not the nicest. So, you know, like I said, we're here in the third dimension. So above that, you have the astral world, which is where our ancestors typically are, and where some people get stuck there sometimes because that's not where they're supposed to be. And I have transitioned them over. I spent a lot of time in the astral world. So above the astral world, you have the underworld. So, yep, right above there. And on the contrary of popular belief, the underworld is not a bad place. I've been there quite a few times. It's not a bad place, okay? And right above the underworld, you have the heavens. And right above the heavens, you have your ascended masters. And above that, not that I could go there, but I've seen it, but I can't go there because it's like spontaneous combustion. Spiritually, even out my body, I can't go there because I could die. It's a source. I guess it will be considered the 12th dimension where everything derives from. So when I look at it, all I see is pure white light. That's all I see. But
that would be God, technically, right?
Exactly. It would technically be where everything derives from. It's just, to me, just pure white light just lives there, and that's it. And it's strong too.
So first dimension, then second, we're in third, which is Earth. Then you have the fourth. You said that's the astral plane. That's where we go. You said that's where the ancestors are?
Absolutely. And if you want something to compare it to, do you remember the movie Beetlejuice?
Oh, vaguely. I'm gonna go back and watch it though now.
So what happened is that they had a couple inside of the house and they died. And then the other family moved in. But if you notice, they lived in the attic and they couldn't come down. They were summoned down at the end of the movie. The family stayed on the first floor because they're living, they're human, they're in a 3D dimension. So since the first couple died, they're in the astral world, which is, you know, on the fourth dimension, and they couldn't come down. So if you want to compare it to something like that, then
that's a good way to make sense of it. So then above the astral planes, then we have the underworld.
Absolutely.
What does the underworld look like?
Okay, so when I went there, and now it seems like there's different keys of access to get into certain parts. I'm met at this palace, I guess, and it's a door. And as you're walking up to the door, I saw a statue of two lions. One was on this side of the door, one was on the other side of the door.
Okay.
And as I got closer to the door, different parts of the lion started coming alive.
Oh.
It was weird. So as I got closer, you'll see the tail just moving a little bit. You know, you get a little closer. If the wind brush, you can see some of the fur start to move on the lion. And as you get close, they both jump up slowly, simultaneously, like they're about to paw each other, basically saying that if you don't have access there, something's going to happen to you. So I get in there. When I got in there, I go to basically I can't even describe it. Have you seen that movie Us with Jordan Peele?
Oh no, I haven't. Only the trailer. I haven't actually seen.
Okay, so the trailer, when they're down in the tethered world, and if you look at the floors, take away the designs, it's the architecture. Everything was slick and smooth. Everything was marble. Everything was marble. It was like a bluish kind of grayish color, but it wasn't that nasty school color. Okay. It was so pretty, but everything was, you know how you have couches and different pieces of furniture in your living room that you can move. Everything is mantled. So every part of the architect is just connected. It's in a sense like a Rubik's Cube. So the couch is a part of the floor.
Is that kind of like almost like a Masonic temple, the way you're describing how slick the floors are and how it's very architectured? Like that would make sense to me if they made Masonic temples after the fifth dimension. That would kind of make sense.
It would definitely, and I'm like, this isn't as bad as I thought. You know what I mean? It wasn't bad. Period. You know what I mean? The underworld that would scare me is when I went to the heavens and met an archangel. That was the scary part.
So the heavens are dimensions 6 through 12?
Yes, that's where it starts. But it's different. See, us, even as multidimensional beings, when we pass away, we don't have to go to the astral world, the underworld, or the heavens. There's different dimensions before you get to source. Like my great grandmother's in the 8th dimension, wherever that is. I asked her, could I come see her? And she told me no. You know what I mean? You can come visit me. I can be there halfway, but I cannot go to the 8th dimension. I can't even tell you what it looks like, for real.
Oh, but you went to the highest you went is which one?
The 5th.
The 5th.
So when I went there, I was in a meditation. It was a group meditation that I did. And before I knew it, I was sitting on what I thought was a mat, but I looked down and it looked like something circular of like, I thought it was smoke, but I was literally sitting on a cloud. And I look up and I saw a man standing in front of me. He had this curly hair, but it was coarse like ours. And he didn't look white, but he looked like super light skin. And he was really muscular, not Incredible Hulk muscular, but Will Smith when he gets cut up, one of those, kind of like cut up. And then he had like a strap that came from his shoulder going down, like I guess where he would hold a sword, but he was actually holding the sword in his hand. And this was long ago, and he looked at me, and one of his eyebrows was raised like this, and he's looking like, he said, well, oh, so you finally decided to come here, right? And I'm just looking at him, and I'm like, whoa. And so he said, let me tell you something. He was like, you need to leave all that earthly shit alone. And I'm just looking at him, and I attempted to say something, and he got his sword, and he clanked it on the ground. It's the motion me to shut up. Wow. And it scared me so bad that I left. I mean, he was so stern, you know what I mean? And on the contrary, a popular belief, not all angels are nice. Not all demons are mean. You got some angels that will cuss you out. You got some demons that are nice, and vice versa. I know I'm not telling you anything that you already don't know, but it's just one of those things. Just because it's an angel does not mean that, they're nice. You have some angels that will rip you a new one.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, I'm listening and my mind is just going, wow. Okay. Wow. Okay, so you said you ran and you came back. So why didn't you want to see the heavens, or do you not have access until?
Oh, I had access. I mean, it was cool. It was just the archangel scared me. I mean, the place was beautiful. Oh, that was a beautiful place. And when you look behind you outside, you see nothing but clouds, the sun. You see all these other clouds that have kingdoms, I guess, if you call it, on these clouds. It's like different demographics, like how we have different cities, states, and continents. Right. It's beautiful. I mean, it is one of the most beautiful places you could ever see. I would have stayed longer, but, like I said, that archangel was like real firm with me, because at the time I was in a position of not knowing, being a little naive, and I was around certain spiritualists that didn't have my highest good, and that archangel was warning me. I didn't get the message until after, and I'm like, wait a minute, this is what he was talking about.
Yes, he was okay. He came and basically you went, but he gave you a message. I like that.
Absolutely. And by the way, when you see pictures of these energies, which is what they are, energies, whether it's in a picture, in a statue, they do not look anything like their picture or their statue. So if you ever see one, or if you're the type that can soul travel or leave your body, prepare thyself.
Oh, they don't look like what we think they look.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Yeah, my mind is blown over here. Okay. This is so interesting. So, okay, so let me ask you this. We're at about 46. So I'm gonna start to wrap it up. I have enjoyed this. Thank you. I don't even have to edit this much. This is beautiful. This has been a smooth conversation. Okay, let me ask you this. When's your birthday?
April the 30th.
Okay. Minus the 28th. I was just wondering when you said.
I saw the 28th. I swear you never said it on there, but someone asked me. They was like, I believe Storm's a Taurus. Well, like, I bet you it's the 28th.
There you go. There we go. Okay, so let me ask you, because I had been having dreams where I saw like my grandmother, she's dead, but I had been seeing her, but I saw her like in her old house. Like the few times I had to, well, it's kind of recurring, but she was in her house. She was always cooking. But then I saw my dad there too, and he's not dead. And so I'm trying to figure out, did I go to a different plane? Was that a message? Or I know you don't know, but what do you think?
It was a message. Grandmother was trying to give you a message. You know, especially if you're having a reoccurring dream, she's trying to tell you something. So that's something that you have to be mindful of. Keep a dream journal next to you when you go to sleep. And when you wake up, you know, write down that dream and piece together the symbology behind it, because spirits, they communicate with us through dreams. They communicate with us through numbers, symbols, synchronicities, and electronics like technology, electricity, things of that nature. So you definitely want to piece those together. Like they could be telling you something, you could get it right away, or they'll show you a piece of the puzzle every day. And after like a week, you can just sum it all together and be like, oh, so that's what they mean. Because on the contrary of popular belief, these ancestors are the ones who look out for us. You know, they are the ones who do these things for us. They're the ones who, what we're praying for, they actually do this for us. See, people say, oh, I believe in God. Okay, yeah, God exists. You know what I mean? But the thing is that people don't realize everything is as above, so below. Okay, so if you're at a job and you do something you're not supposed to do and you get in trouble, is the president of that company going to come and reprimand you? Or is it going to go down the line to the, you know?
Oh, no, there's a chain. There's a hierarchy.
Man, you see what I'm saying? So God itself, and I say itself because God is everything. It's spirit, it's the wind, it's the trees, it's rocks, it's water, it's everything. Okay, God does not delve in human affairs. Okay, so it's the ones that are below who actually do that. So those are your ancestors, those are your angels, your spirit guides, your deities, whatever you believe in. Those are the ones who can come forth and give you the things that you want, help you out, keep you out of trouble, warn you about things. It's a lot.
Yeah, my spirit guide's name is Louise. Apparently, she was bossy. She is God. Okay, so, but okay, so I guess my question is like, I'm seeing grandma in her old house. So was that like her heaven, or was it just for me to make sense of? Because I'm like, why is she creepy? Like that didn't make sense to me.
Well, it could be a plethora of things actually. It could be what your grandmother created. It could be a place where you're comfortable, where you were comfortable as a child. It could be the safe space that you created and your dreams where nobody can harm you.
Gotcha.
Yep, they're there for a reason like that.
Oh wow. Okay. Man. Okay, let me ask you that. Damn, I don't want this conversation to end, but I know I can't keep you forever. When you said you saw that I'm just making it about, let me be a narcissist today. When you said you saw that I was highly protected, what can you see or can you describe it?
Oh boy. Okay, you have a lot of ancestral protection. There is a female ancestor. It must be grandma. I mean, I'm just there's
I'm assuming, yeah,
female energy present who's passed on. You're being protected and layered with so much. I don't know if you could put this in here, but Storm, it's a lot of forces in the underworld that are protecting you. It's like you're in a sense untouchable. Let me just put it to you like this. When things happen to you, I don't see it hitting you in a sense. I see you maybe being affected because of your emotion, but I see the attack or the energy repelling off of you, going back to hit that person who sent the attack.
Gotcha.
Bad things happen to people who do things to you.
Oh yeah, that's always happened. Oh my God.
You know what I mean?
And I joked about that. You're confirming that we did not talk about that before. Okay. So when you say, oh, wow, do you just see one female energy? Do you see any male ancestors, or is it mostly just female energy?
Well, it's a female energy that seems to be like a matriarch of your family, someone who's an elevated ancestor, someone who has a lot of respect in the spiritual realm. So if I look, it's like I'll see her, but I'll see the other ancestors behind her.
Gotcha.
So you're being protected by everybody, but I feel like she was appointed strictly to protect you.
Okay. Dang.
What this woman does not play.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Y'all better leave me alone in these streets. I'm trying to tell you. Let me ask you this. I've always wondered how, like, okay, before I get to that question, screw it, we're making an hour. Before I get to that question, let me ask you this question. How real is astrology? The whole Taurus, Libra, Virgo. How real is that?
Well, I don't know much about astrology, but I'm more so on numerology. But as far as the astrology, when you just look at a person's zodiac, that kind of like, you're just scraping the surface, because you have all these placements. You have your rising sign, you have your moon sign, your north node, you have all of that. Like me as a Taurus, I can say all day, I don't like Virgos, I don't want to date a Virgo, or I don't want to be around an Aries because they're chaotic. I could say whatever, right? But it's more just that, that's just the tip of the iceberg. The other placements that you have in your chart might come together and we might get along perfectly well. Like us as Tauruses, our polar opposite, our shadow, is Scorpio. You see what I mean?
Gotcha.
So we don't really get along with them per se, but there's still something intriguing about them, and they feel the same way about us too.
Gotcha. Okay. So when you say numerology, are you able to break down like what people's like? Okay, numerology. So okay, of course, the meaning of numbers is literally what that means. But like, if I see a number all the time, or do you do the life path number thing?
That's actually what I specialize in, the life paths, basically. Now, when you see the repeat numbers, that's your synchronicities. 444, 555, all that. But when you do numerology, what that is that you add up your whole birth date and you simplify it into one number.
Okay.
That one number will be between 1 and 9. And if you have a master number, you'll have either 11 or 22.
Okay.
So basically, that one number will tell you everything there is to know about you, as far as your personality, your highs and lows, your ups and downs, your strengths, your weaknesses, what you can do to further along in your journey, what to look out for. I mean, you can do so many things with numerology. You can manifest houses, cars, soulmates. I mean.
I'm gonna hit you up after this, because
Yeah, okay, yeah, exactly. Like look at Taylor Swift. People are like, oh, she doesn't make much music. Like, she'll make this dope album, and then you might not see her for some years, because she knows when to come out and make an album. She knows when to sit down, because she knows X, Y, and Z may not be my time to come out. Look at Sade and look at Maxwell. Every 7 years, they know what they're doing.
Yes. So I just did mine, and my life path number is 9.
Yes. You are actually the humanitarian. So what happens is that you give to the less fortunate, you give to you give to the needy. You're always giving back all the time, but that's typically how you get your blessings. By blessing other people, the universe rewards you because of that.
Gotcha. Wow. Okay. So I wonder, could you tell me, like, Storm, like, these are the days you need to upload, and these are the days you need to I'm kidding.
Based up on that, but we're just talking about shamanism on this show. But yeah.
Right. Dang. Okay. Well, you know what? I think I'm gonna. I'm sure they'll ask me to bring you back for sure. I think I'm gonna leave the conversation there. This was really, really good. Before we go, let us know where we can find you if people want to book your services, follow you on social media, whatever you have.
Absolutely. Well, first and foremost, and I'll try to say all this as fast as I can, okay? I want to give a shout out to my students. They are so wonderful. They are master healers, and I've trained them very well. I want to give a shout out to Gabriella Johnson, Karen Pace, Nikki Brummage. Nikki Brummage has a company. You can find her on Instagram, Heart to Health. And I want to give a shout out to my other student, Angela Grindle. Now, alongside of my students, I want to give a big, huge shout out to a former guest that you had by the name of Jake Priest. He is a really cool individual. He definitely adds love and light to the planet and definitely helps to tip the scales of the universe. And he has dope products. So shout out to you, Jake. I want to give a shout out to my astrologer, Jamal Roberson. He is super dope. If you need a natal chart, go to Instagram and look up Young Desperado. And I want to give a shout out to my good friends, Brooke Smith and Atiba Harris. You can find me on Facebook at Kirk Taurean. You can find me on IG at Kirk_Taurean and the number 3. And if you want to book services, you can go to my website at thirdeyeintuitive.com. And for a last disclaimer before we go, for anybody who's out here starting out on their spiritual journey, anyone who's looking for a place to go, you don't know who to look up to, you're looking for that teacher or that guru, it's a disclaimer, okay? I want you guys to use your common sense, I want you to use your discernment, and I want you to use your gut, because not all, but some of these YouTube spiritual gurus are not who they claim to be, okay? And I'm speaking from personal experience, and I want all of you to be safe.